I hear sometimes on YouTube people talking about the system. Now, I often talk about the system as in it needs to be changed, it needs to be got rid of, we need to find a different way of living, because the way we're living at the moment, the system we're living in, the life we're living, whatever word you want to use for it, is leading in suffering and inequalities and injustices for vast, vast majority of people. But you hear some people say that they don't want this, don't want to break down the system. I'm not really sure how we would get the changes necessary. I mean, we need infrastructure. Yes, that is true. We do need infrastructure. There's certain things that I often say how, like, in different countries, we all seem to have the same infrastructure, which is strange considering, like, why does everyone have the same idea? Why is everything replicated? But then, as humans, that's what we do. We are replicants in a way of each other, we have our own independent thought, but a lot of how we're taught is through replication. So, yes, we need infrastructure, we need, like, hospitals. Yeah, well, assuming that there's a way, maybe there's a better way of living that doesn't make us sick. That's a possibility. That's another thing. Our minds, the way we think, but I'll get onto that. We need certain things we definitely need. And there's a lot of stuff we don't need. That's just there for commerce. That we could spend our endeavours, our lives, our energies doing more meaningful things that are better for mankind, rather than frivolous things that are just there for purchase, and keeping a business alive and another man being able to pocket money and do whatever he wants. So, yeah, I do believe we do need a change in whatever you want to call it, life. The way we live, we definitely need change. Whether you want to call it system or whatever, that's up to you. But then I was thinking, well, wait a minute, it's more than that. Because to change the system is just one part. Our biggest problem, perhaps, is changing ourselves. The way we think, the way we act, the way we've all been taught, the way we are teaching. Because it's that mindset that is enabling all of this life that we're living to proceed. Because we believe, even though we are all independent, we're all equally as powerful as each other, and none of us are more entitled than each other. I mean, how many times have you heard all men are born equal? I think it's in the Bible, I think it's in the Declaration of the Human Rights. I don't know what they see as equal, but we're not. But biologically, physically, yes, we are all. Just because you wear a lab coat, just because you put a crown on top of your head, it doesn't make you more powerful, more greater, more anything than another person, than a man who's sweeping up the floor, or a man who has no home. Each one of us is as equal as the other. We're exactly the same when it comes to power and all that kind of stuff. It's just we've created a system where it's illusionary power. The Prime Minister has power over you. You have to do, or a policeman, you have to do what he says. Because of the system we live in. So not only does the system need to change, but our mind needs to change, the way we think about things. Because that's also what leads us into these traps, leads us into this misery that we're living in. But it's the hardest thing possible. I mean, it's hard enough to change the system. You look at legislation when people, you only got to look at Brexit, see how difficult that is. But you look at how people throughout history have tried to, so-called history, alleged history, have tried to change things, and how difficult it's been, to change things that morally you'd think that, like the slavery bill in the UK, what was it? I can't remember his name. I remember seeing a film about that, and how he was, I'm sure it sort of hero worshipped him, but you could imagine people in the parliament would be disagreeing, saying no, it has to stay as it is. You think that people would, it just makes you think about how their minds worked. But this is the same today. People still have those backward minds and most of us don't really realise it, because we only think as we think. We don't realise there's a better way of doing things. But the thing is, because we replicate it to our children as well, we teach them how we've been taught, because that's how we think is the best way to do it. But yeah, like I'm saying, to change the system is going to take, well, it may be impossible, but to change ourselves is even more so. Because we need to change our minds, the way we think of things, the way we think of, the way we box things. You know, the fact that people believe in their heritage, they believe in their DNA, people believe in, you know, that they're, like I've mentioned millions of these things before, you know, that they come from a certain country and they have loyalty to that country, and the fact that even that country exists. The fact that we're born on a place where we've made up the names, we've made the existence for ourselves. Almost like, you know, if you think about it, when we're born, everything that we know, we are taught. And some of the stuff is experience, some of it, you know, when you get older, you then have that ability to experience. But we've already, as it were, been put a pair of glasses that makes us see a certain way. It's difficult to get those glasses off and see things fresh, because we've already been programmed, as it were. But our minds are the thing that needs to change, because it's our minds that are holding us back. It holds the key to everything, I think. Because if we were more open, if we were more able to see that, wait a minute, I don't know what this tree is in front of me. I called it a tree. Well, I didn't call it a tree. People before me called it a tree, but I don't know what it is. Where did it come from? How am I here? What are we doing with our lives? What is the meaning of our lives? Is the meaning of our lives just to make money and buy things and then die? Is that all our life is about? Well, maybe it is, but what about all the suffering that's going on while you're buying all those things and making all that money? Doesn't that mean anything? Do you not have any responsibility to your fellow human beings, to which are equal as you? You know, when people, you know, cheer at a film that's against slavery or against, you know, people, taking things that weren't theirs. But wait a minute, you're living in a system that's already doing that and still doing that. You have countries that own other countries. You have the fact that people believe that the place you stand upon is a certain place and has a border, and you need a passport to get in and out of it. That you're not free on your own planet. It's funny because these films like Hunger Games and all that kind of stuff, that the Maze Runner, where it sort of shows how people are indoctrinated and how they're taught to believe that, or they live in a maze and this is the only existence. We don't realise that we're actually doing it here on planet Earth, so-called planet Earth. The thing is, like, when you see, the thing is that the people like us who understand all these things, we're going to end up dying out, and maybe we'll pass a message on to a few other people. But the people with all the power and responsibility probably aren't even thinking this way. They're just continuing the system and not thinking about, is there a better way of doing things, or maybe there are, but their ways are through the system way, through the same mindset of that we have to do it this way and we have to do it that way. They're still chained up in the system without even knowing it, because we were all born like that. So yeah, that's, to me, that's what I think is what we need to be able to do, is to change our minds, to be open to the fact that everything in them and everything out of them, how can I put this? I don't know how, I can't, it's difficult to actually phrase that, actually, what I'm thinking. That are, we need to sort of unprogram ourselves, or be able to understand that we are acting in a certain way because of what we've been taught and through history of our lives, and that we have the ability to change that and to become become, better individuals for each other and for ourselves. It seems so easy when you say it out, isn't it? Why has it taken so long for even like me to think about this? I mean, I know I've thought about similar things, but why is it that I think I've hit a wall, isn't it, a little bit? It seems so easy, so simple, that the fact that we've got to realise that the way we're thinking is the problem. Through our normal day-to-day existence, to the fact that we follow orders from our boss, to the fact that we take money out of a bank and go and spend it, pieces of paper from a tree, all of these things that we're doing, most of our lives have been wasted in the pursuit of this, not in the pursuit of, in the adherence to this system, this life, because we know no better. Do we? Do we know no better? I don't know whether that's true or not. We're not that stupid, are we? Because we're just going about wasting all this time and energy in keeping the system alive by working, by buying things, by feeling happy at that, by eating, going to sleep and doing it all again. I don't know, is there something more we could be doing? Or because we haven't always done it this way, we've, if history is true and accurate, we've evolved, we've altered things, changed things. Even in my life, I've seen the difference of how automation has become part of life, and that's going to go more in the future. Maybe that's when things will change, when I'm going to say, like, when robots take over, as it were, when AI, as they like to call it these days, when technology can do the things that we do, the manual things, the jobs, the work, better than us, then we'll have more time on our hands, and maybe that's when we'll be free. So maybe AI isn't such a bad thing. Not that I'm trying to gatekeep it or say anything or whatever, but if all the things that we're wasting our time, well, maybe actually then they won't need us, will they? What will be the point? Then they'll probably say that you can only have one baby, and then they'll probably somehow make it possible that they can create babies without a mother, without a womb, and then people will stop doing that, and the babies will be born by government, and they'll be looked after in their own schools, and there won't be such a thing as parents. A bit sci-fi that, but what I'm trying to say, that assuming that technology is used in the right way so that we don't have to do all the things to generate this money, but then that can't work, because then what will happen with money? Because that's the whole point of why we're doing this, is to get that money, to give it to someone else and keep it going. If we're not working because robots do it better than us, then we won't be getting money. Or maybe the governments will just give out money then. Maybe then we'll realise that how stupid this whole idea of doing everything for money is. That we've been led of this trap of history of some man who came up with this idea and is long dead now. And we're still following that system. Maybe then we'll realise, wait a minute, what are we going to do now that we're not working anymore and we don't need money anymore? Maybe then that'll be when things will change and people will start to actually open their eyes and see, wait a minute, we've been wasting our time all this time. Let's just do what we should have been doing in the first place, helping out each other. We'll probably have destroyed ourselves by then. Or we'll be on another planet and fuck that up and start the whole process again. Anyway, it seems like I've gone a long way there. Take care, take it easy, God bless and peace.